The relentless, flickering fluorescent light cast ghastly shadows on the grim police station. Lamont sat stiffly on the hard, wooden bench, his palms sweating against the cold metal cuffs binding his wrists. Accusations were flung at him like darts, each one a piercing stab to his already bleeding heart. Negligence, the detective had said, the word echoing in the hollow room. The detective's eyes were hard and unyielding, no trace of sympathy within them. You left a frail, ailing man all alone. What did you think would happen, Mr. Richards? Lamont's breath hitched, the cruel irony of the situation making him nauseous. He'd been wrongfully imprisoned, yet here he was, under scrutiny once more, this time for a crime that weighed heavier than any jail sentence. The regret, anger, and fear swirled within him, creating a storm that threatened to tear him apart. I didn't, Lamont began, his voice a mere whisper, drowned out by the accusing whispers of his conscience. The detective's gaze never wavered, his expression hardening. You didn't what, Mr. Richards? Didn't care enough, or didn't think it would come to this? The words were a punch to his gut, leaving him breathless. The room around him spun, the harsh reality hitting him harder than any physical blow ever could. Time seemed to stretch, each tick of the clock amplifying his anxiety. The nightmare far from over. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he was let go, his innocence merely a technicality in the face of his personal guilt. Lamont's next stop was the Prepaid Legal, a law firm tucked away in a nondescript building. The stark contrast between the police station and the opulence of the law firm's office was jarring. High ceilings with elaborate chandeliers, polished mahogany desks, and plush leather chairs screamed money, a stark contrast to his life's reality. Mr. Brown, your uncle's life insurance, the lawyer said, sliding a hefty envelope across the glossy table. The lawyer's voice held a strange inflection, a mix of relief and bitterness, mirroring Lamont's own feelings. His hands trembled as he reached for the envelope. The touch of the paper, the realization of its contents, was surreal. It was money, a life-altering amount. But at what cost? Relief washed over him, followed swiftly by an overwhelming bitterness. Money, the root of all his trials and tribulations, the reason for his unjust incarceration, now served as his salvation. It was a cruel twist of fate. As he walked out of the law firm, the weight of the envelope in his pocket was a constant reminder of his loss. The bittersweet victory did little to alleviate the heartache. He had his freedom, the money, but at the cost of the only family he'd ever known, the only person who truly cared for him. Life, it seemed, was a game of relentless trials and fleeting alleviations. As Lamont stood at the threshold of the apartment, the once familiar door seemed like an ominous gateway into a past that was too painful to revisit. The door creaked open with a low, mournful groan, the sound reverberating in the silence like an eerie prelude. His footsteps on the worn-out floorboards echoed through the emptiness, amplifying his sense of desolation. The apartment, a modest embodiment of Leon's humble life, was now a canvas of memories. The shabby couch where Leon used to sit, the kitchen table where they'd shared countless meals, even the worn-out rug that Leon always tripped over held echoes of his uncle's existence. Each object was a poignant reminder of what he had lost. He moved through the rooms like a ghost. The silence, a sharp contrast to the vibrant life that once filled these walls. The photographs on the walls seemed to watch him, their smiles frozen in a time that felt like another lifetime. There was one particular photograph that caught his eye, Leon holding a baby Lamont, both of them being at the camera. His heart clenched as he traced the edges of the photograph, memories washing over him like a tidal wave. Suddenly, his gaze fell on Leon's wheelchair, now devoid of its occupant. The reality of Leon's absence hit him with full force, and he sank to the floor, a strangled sob escaping his lips. Lamont sat there amidst the deafening silence, his sorrow engulfing him. His fingers curled around the arms of the wheelchair, the cold metal, a harsh contrast to the warmth that Leon once radiated. His heart was heavy with a profound sense of loss, the guilt threatening to consume him. "I'm sorry, Leon," he whispered into the void, his voice choked with emotion. His apology, sincere yet futile, seemed to bounce off the walls, finding no recipient. Lamont had returned home, but the heart of the apartment, his uncle Leon, was nowhere to be found. And so he sat there, alone amidst the echoes of the past, mourning his loss. The apartment a mausoleum of memories, a testament to the life and love of a man who had been more than just a relative. He was a mentor, a father, and most importantly, his friend. The silence of the apartment was now the loudest thing Lamont had ever heard. The echoes of his past ricocheting off the empty walls, a constant reminder of his guilt and sorrow. A profound darkness swathed the apartment as Lamont found himself tossing and turning on Leon's bed. Sleep an elusive phantom. The shadows, dancing on the walls, seemed to morph into Leon's visage, the lines of pain and fatigue etched permanently in his memory. Soon, sleep did come, but it was a cruel mistress, leading him not to a world of peaceful oblivion, but to a haunting echo of his reality. A cold chill seeped into his dream, turning the warmth of the apartment into a frigid landscape. Leon's spectral form materialized in the dreamscape, his gaunt face mirroring the struggle of his last days. He sat in his wheelchair, his eyes pleading, reaching out to Lamont with a frail hand. "Lamont," he murmured, "why did you leave me?" "I didn't want to, Uncle Leon." Lamont's dream, self-choked out, the guilt clawing at him like a merciless beast. "I was." But his pleas fell on deaf ears. The dream, Leon's eyes, once full of warmth, now bore a cold, accusing glare. The wheelchair seemed to edge further away, widening the chasm of misunderstanding between them. Suddenly, the scene shifted. He saw Leon on the floor, desperately reaching for his medication. "Help me, Lamont," Leon pleaded, his voice echoing in the chilling emptiness. But no matter how hard Lamont tried, he couldn't move, couldn't reach him. Leon's grasp faltered, and he collapsed, his plea turning into a silent scream that resonated with Lamont's guilt. With a start, Lamont woke up, his body slick with sweat, his heart pounding against his ribcage. The apartment was dark and silent, but the echoes of Leon's plea still hung in the air, a chilling reminder of his guilt-laden dream. His mind spun with unsettling thoughts, entangling him in a web of guilt and confusion. Did Leon suffer because of his absence? Did he inadvertently cause his uncle's death? The first rays of dawn peeked through the cracked window, casting a melancholy glow over the room. Yet Lamont found no solace in the light. His dream, a ghostly reenactment of his deepest fears, had left him with a gnawing guilt and a haunting question. Had Leon, in his despair, hastened his own end? As he sat on the edge of the bed, wrestling with his thoughts, the apartment seemed more of a haunted house than a home. Sleep, the comforting blanket that offered him solace, now seemed like a torturous realm, haunted by guilt, answered questions, and the ghost of a man he loved and lost